The disappeared. I located my walkie. American Outpost 58, Dr. Cecily Clark to base. Over. Base, Dr. Mariana Spare to American Outpost 58. What's your status? Over. I saw something weird today in the water. The static of the walkie crackled, and I looked over at Gertrude. I saw fish. Over. Fish? Over. Yes. Over. Did you check your temperature? Maybe you're running a fever? Over. Yes, Mirren. I checked. It was normal. I'm looking at a fish right now. Over. And you're sure, Cecily? I've had a long day. Judith gave us another lecture about continuing the species. Suffice to say, I'm not in the mood to play this game. Over. Good, because I'm not playing. Although I'm sorry about Judith. She needs to give it a rest. We can't change what we did, however much we may want to. But I saw a fish, and now I have one. Her name is Gertrude. I don't know what to do about it. I looked at the now empty tub in front of me and quickly added, also they disappear. Over. Cecily, my dear, I love you, but I've had a long day. Over. It sounds stranger now that I'm saying it out loud. It made a lot of sense in my head before, you know? The static crackled, and I walked over to the tank, waiting for Gertrude. Mirren, do you trust me? Over. Implicitly. Over. Then believe me when I say I have found fish that disappear. I have, and I need you to believe it. I need you to believe me. Over. Gertrude reappeared into the tub. I barely registered it at all. I believe you. Over. So what should I do? Over. I don't know. Research? I'll do some too, although I'm not quite sure what I'm looking for. Over. Teleporting fish? Over. She laughed, and it filled the stillness of the room. The walls seemed brighter, and even Gertrude perked up. This is absurd. Over. I know, but you like it that way. Over. True. Over. I can't come home tomorrow. Over. I know. Over. I'm sorry. Over. I know. She exhaled audibly. Judith is signaling for me to get off the airwaves. I gotta go. I'll see what I can find out. Over. I love you. Over. I love you too. Be safe. Over and out. I looked down at the walkie in my hand where she was just moments before. The dark and stillness of the room returned. God damn you, Gertrude. She didn't even bother to turn around. I shook my head and set about my work. I dug trackers out of the filing cabinet and affixed one to Gertrude. It would tell me where she went when she disappeared. Then I would go from there. My eyelids drooped, and I fell asleep watching her swim circles around the tub. I woke up to a neck ache in an empty tub. I rushed to the tracker monitor. She was here. I looked back at the empty tub and pursed my lips. Huh, I said. Gertrude? Where'd you go? She responded with a crash into the tub. Static erupted. Base, Dr. Mariana Spare to American Outpost 58, over. I fumbled for the walkie that I'd abandoned the night before. I responded, American Outpost 58, Dr. Cecily Clark to base, over. Cecily, over. Mirren, over. I matched her energy but failed to convey quite the same level of excitement. We're all coming to you. Judith was encouraged by your findings. She thinks we might be able to harness those fish and get out, over. Get out of where? Over. Here? Everywhere? I don't know, but out. Out is good, over. I'm not sure that's always the case. We don't know where these fish are going, or if we want to go there too, over. Yeah, I know, Cecily, but if she's going to take me to you, I'm not going to question it, over. I worry, though. Sometimes I think you'd follow her over a cliff if she asked, over. I'd disobey her for you, over. I love you too, over. I could hear her mouth widen into a smile. We should be able to leave by the end of the week. Be safe, over. Talk to you tonight. Love you. Over and out. I set the walkie on the counter next to Gertrude and boiled a pot of water. As my tea steeped, I dug around in the closet for helpful books. I thumbed through the records of the last surviving fish until I saw a familiar face, the mangrove rivulus. It looked almost exactly like Gertrude. The mangrove rivulus jumped out of water onto land to cool off. It had adapted to be able to withstand high temperatures, but sometimes it would get too hot. When this happened, the mangrove rivulus would propel itself into the air and rest on land. It would breathe through its converted gills and stay cool. Eventually, it would work itself back into the water. Maybe Gertrude did that too, but she'd adapted as the earth grew too hot. Initially, they'd migrated north, which is how they got here, but then even here was too hot. That's why they disappeared. The surrounding land wasn't cool enough. I stopped myself. It didn't answer the question of where they go. The tracker told me she hadn't moved, but she had. I wandered into the kitchen, turning my thoughts over in my mind. In my excitement, I'd forgotten about my tea. I took the bag out and brought it to my lips. The jasmine tasted almost metallic. It was oversteeped. I dumped the rest down the drain and went outside to check on my plants. They weren't doing well, but I didn't know how to help them. It was just too hot. I gave them water and several gentle pats before leaving. Gertrude returned as I walked through the door, and I greeted her with a nod. Her eyes sparkled. "What is it, Gertrude?" I asked as I scanned her body and facial expression. She looked bigger. "Did you grow, Gertrude?" I asked, grabbing my tape measure. I told her to hold still, and she obeyed. She was 1.5 feet long. She grew 3 inches in a single day. I looked back at Gertrude, and her mouth widened into a smirk. She knew she'd stumped me. I bit back my bottom lip and ran my fingers through my hair. American Outpost 58, Dr. Cecily Clark to base, over. Base, Dr. Miranda Spare to American Outpost 58, over. I have some new information. I described the mangrove rivulus in my theory. Also, Gertrude grew 3 inches today, over. Okay. The air went still, and I heard the gentle swishing of Gertrude swimming in circles around her tub. Sorry, I was just thinking. So the fish disappeared to cool off to some unknown place that the tracker thinks is where they were before, and sometimes when they come back, they're bigger than they were before. The place needs to be cooler, but it needs to be in the same spot, or be able to trick the tracker into thinking it is. The fish could turn invisible, which would explain the tracker, but not the coolness. She exhaled loudly. Over. Yeah, I keep getting stuck. They could be teleporting, which would explain the coolness, but not the tracker. Fish grow like people. It takes time. They can't make time, over. Well, if we're thinking time, there's always time travel. On cue, Gertrude splashed back into her tub. I hadn't even noticed she was gone. Think about it, Cecily. It could explain everything. She didn't move in space, so the tracker said she was still there. If she went far enough into the past, it would be cool. And if she stayed there long enough, she could have grown the 3 inches, over. I laughed and said, yeah, right, over. Okay, but think about it, Cecily. Nothing else makes any sense. It's like that Sherlock Holmes quote, once you've eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. You know? Over. Mirren, the thing is, my dear, I feel like time travel counts as the impossible. Over. Well, I'm sorry, Cecily, but this whole fish thing should be impossible, and I'm just trying to come up with an answer that solves all the issues. Time travel solves all the issues. Over. That doesn't make it true. Over. Maybe not, but the way I see it, there are 2 options. The fish are time traveling, or you're crazy. Over. I'm not crazy. I walked over to the tub, bent down, and looked Gertrude in the eyes. The fish are real, and they disappear. I just can't believe that means time travel. I'm not a fan of either option. Over. I know, Cecily, but at present I don't really have another theory. Do you? She waited for an answer she knew wouldn't come. Then she said, Judith is calling. I love you. Over. Time travel it is, I muttered. I love you. Over and out. I put the walkie on the shelf and slipped into bed. My sleep was restless. I lured myself out of bed with the promise of properly steeped jasmine tea and a visit to my plants. Bernadette's leaves drooped for want of water and company, no doubt. Lila had died overnight. Mirren's words rattled around in my head, begging me to consider them. I turned the outpost inside out in search of books on time travel, but I couldn't find any. After taking a lunch break, I decided to go back to the lagoon to examine the fish population. As far as I could tell, they were all like Gertrude. Occasionally, I'd be examining one, and she'd fling herself to the surface and disappear. That's when I noticed something odd. Their entire population matched ours. I didn't know what it could mean, or how an entire population could survive without men. A shiver went up my spine and never left. That night, I called Mirren to tell her what I'd found. American Outpost 58, Dr. Cecily Clark to base, over. Base, Dr. Mirren Spare to American Outpost 58, over. Mirren. I found something when I examined the entire fish population today. There aren't any male fish, over. Just like us. What does it mean, over? I don't know, but I don't like it, over. Why not? Feminism, Mirren laughed. Over. Just because they're female, it doesn't mean it's feminism. It's unnerving, over. What's so unnerving about a bunch of women, over? Nothing, I guess. I wandered over to Gertrude and scanned her face for answers. What's the status on your travel plan? Over. We're almost packed. We'll leave tomorrow morning, so we should reach you the next day. Then we'll start figuring out how to use this fish. Over. Be careful. Over. I love you. Over. Love you too. Over and out.